Mothering your man is destroying your relationship. And look, no woman wants to feel like their partner's mother. It doesn't feel good, yet we do it anyway. But when you mother your man, you slowly chip away at the attraction and the chemistry and the connection in the relationship. Not to mention, it's exhausting. And so in this video, I'm going to show you why this really happens and how to stop being his mother and become his muse instead. Hey friend, welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Jillz and I help women step into their power, tap into their divine feminine, and become their best self, live their best life. So if that's something you want to do, you should subscribe and stick around. Before we get into the video, my new course, Love Alchemy, is out today. This is where I teach you how to embody feminine energy in your relationship, how to inspire his masculine energy, and how to keep him cherishing you, pursuing you, giving you that queen treatment, and keeping the spark and the connection and the polarity alive. I've been with my husband for 16 years, and in those years, I have learned a thing or two. So I cannot wait for you to join and to level up and transform your love life. And if that's something that you feel called to check out, the link for that is down below. So if you feel like you have gotten caught in the mother role with your man and no longer feel like his lover anymore, then we're going to change that. First of all, we need to define what mothering actually means in the context of a relationship, because there is a fine line between being, just supportive and nurturing and loving versus unconsciously stepping into a role that kills desire. So when I talk about mothering your partner, I'm not talking about being caring and nurturing and loving and thoughtful. That's great. I'm talking about when we step into a role that takes over. When we start telling him how to do things, when to do things. We nag, we push, we micromanage. It's reminding him about his dentist appointment, managing his relationship with his family, correcting how he does things, stepping in, sometimes even before there's a problem, just taking care of everything because we think, it's just easier if I handle it. And when you interact with him from that place, constantly managing him, reminding him, correcting him, you are no longer his woman. You have become his mother. And to be clear, this usually doesn't come from a bad place. Honestly, it usually stems from a loving place. It comes from being a capable woman, being aware, wanting things to run smoothly, loving him, and wanting him to be his best self. But somewhere along the way, what started as you just trying to be helpful turns into something else. It becomes a pattern, a dynamic, and before you know it, you're no longer just supporting and loving him anymore, you are managing him. And this is the biggest difference between a nurturing woman who stays in the lover role and unconsciously acting like his mother. Nurturing is when you support and love someone while still trusting their own ability to decide, to choose for themselves, to respond in the way that they want to. They're still in the driver's seat of their life, not you. But mothering is when you step in a way that takes away their sense of agency, responsibility, and power. It's when you clean up their messes. It's when you are more in the driver's seat of their life. And that makes sense with our children because they actually need that. That's why we mother our children. But a full-grown adult man, nurturing empowers, mothering manages. Nurturing trusts, mothering controls. When you nurture, you might express a need or a feeling and let him decide how he wants to respond. But when you mother, you decide the response for him, or you correct him if it's not done your way. Nurturing is like being his cheerleader, mothering is like being his coach. And once his sense of agency and power disappears, and when he's no longer handling things and you are taking over, let's be real. Do you still see him the same way? Do you still respect him just the same? Probably not. And does he still feel the same attraction and chemistry towards you? Probably not. No woman is romantically attracted to her son, and no man is romantically attracted to his mother. So why do smart, capable women who love their partners fall into this pattern? Most women don't mother their man because they want to be controlling. They mother because control feels safe. And letting go, especially when you are a capable woman, which I know you are, can sometimes feel deeply uncomfortable. Uncertainty can feel deeply uncomfortable. And control is how we cope with uncertainty. Think about it, okay? When you can't tolerate not knowing how something's gonna turn out, when you can't sit with the discomfort of, what if he doesn't handle it the way that I would? Or what if he doesn't handle it at all? Or what if it ends up not the way I want? What do? You step in, you take over, you manage it yourself. Because if you don't step in, things might not get done. Mistakes might happen. Everything will fall apart, or at least you think it will. And for a lot of women, that feels worse, okay? That right there feels worse than losing attraction and damaging the relationship. Now, I just want to say, sometimes some men truly do not know how or do not want to step up and adult and handle things. If your man genuinely cannot adult, or you genuinely cannot trust him, then maybe you two are just simply not compatible. And it's nothing deeper than that. But if we take that out of the equation, okay, because that's not on you, the real root of this mothering behavior, if you actually dig deep, you lack trust. And you don't feel safe in the uncertainty. You don't feel safe relying on someone else. You don't feel safe trusting someone else. You don't feel safe when things aren't going exactly the way that you want them to. You don't feel safe when you're not in control of the situation. Your nervous system doesn't trust that things will be okay. So you step in. When your nervous system has become dysregulated, or when you have had experiences time and time again where you have been disappointed, experiences that taught you to expect disappointment and things going wrong, or that taught you that you're the one who has to handle it, then that's what your nervous system is expecting. And for a lot of women, this didn't start in their current romantic relationship. It started much earlier. Maybe you had to be hyper responsible growing up. Maybe you learned that if you didn't handle things, no one would. Maybe you had unreliable parents or caregivers and you learned that trusting other people led to disappointment. So over time, your system adapted. It learned to expect things to go wrong. It learned to anticipate problems before they happened. And it learned that control equals safety. And that's why leaning back sometimes can feel so uncomfortable and sometimes even dangerous. Because when you totally trust him to handle it, your nervous system isn't thinking, oh, this will be fine. It's thinking, if I don't stay on top of this, something bad might happen. Or honestly, it might just cause an inconvenience that I don't want to deal with. What I want you to understand is that mothering your man is often just a self-soothing strategy. It's a way that we try to manage our anxiety around things maybe not going perfectly right by reminding, correcting, double checking, or just doing everything ourselves so that we don't have to sit in the discomfort. And it's a way that we self-soothe when we don't have the nervous system capacity to trust another person, our partner, and to trust the uncertainty of life. I went through a phase in my relationship where I started very much mothering my husband, and I didn't enjoy it. He didn't like it, but yet I did it anyway. And looking back now, I realized that the timing of when that started happening was not a coincidence. That mothering behavior started showing up in my life during the most unstable period of my life thus far. Losing a parent, and things were just very rocky and shaky. I felt very ungrounded. I was very stressed. My nervous system was completely shot. So what happened? I stepped in to control and manage things and solve problems and not let anything go wrong. And I wanted everything to be perfect because it was self-soothing in a way. But when that dynamic happens, when you step in and mother your partner and tell him what to do and remind him of things constantly and fix his problems and clean up his messes and handle everything and do all the tasks, they learn to become even more and more passive, which then makes you feel like you need to step in even more and that you trust him even less. And so that cycle, it just gets deeper and deeper. It continues and continues if nothing changes. But so if you want to stop being his mother and instead want to become his lover, his muse, how do you do that? First thing, okay, if you feel like you constantly have to step in or else his life is going to fall apart, let it fall apart. Okay, let it fall apart. I know your brain is probably thinking like, but if I don't remind him about booking that dentist appointment, then he'll never go. Or if I don't constantly bug him about that flight he has later today, then he's gonna miss it. He's gonna be late and he's gonna miss it. Or if I don't stay on top of his work stuff or his career growth, he's not gonna do well. Or if I don't bug him about the things that he needs to get or the things that he needs to get done, he won't do it. And you know what? Maybe he will. Maybe he will miss that dentist appointment, or he'll miss that flight, or maybe he will have to deal with some consequences at work, or maybe he will forget to pick up his dry cleaning and then he has no shirts for work tomorrow. Let it happen. Okay, this is not being unloving or unsupportive. It's trusting him and believing in him and that he can take responsibility and do what needs to be done. And if he misses something or something falls apart or whatever, trust that he can manage. Trust that he can figure it out. Those are his consequences to deal with, not yours. As long as this does not directly affect like your health and safety or your children's, if it's his responsibility, like his appointments, his commitments, his tasks, his chores to do, his hobbies, his friends, his family relationships, his work, then it's not yours to manage. Okay, if he forgets to pay the mortgage for your shared home, that also affects you. You can step in. And if that happens regularly, then maybe you guys aren't compatible. But if he forgets to RSVP for his friend's summer barbecue, that is not your concern. That should not be taking up precious space in your brain. Every time you step in unnecessarily, you are essentially saying, I don't trust you. I don't trust you to handle your own life. And over time, he will start to unconsciously believe it. And he will unconsciously lean into it even more. And every time you take on more and more of the mental load, you just deplete yourself. You're just exhausted. It takes away your peace. And nothing good comes from that. Second thing, stop correcting how he does things. If he loads the dishwasher differently than you, let him. If he cooks his pasta a different way than you, let him. If he folds his own laundry wrong, let him. If he takes a different route to get somewhere, let him. Your way is not the only way, and doing things his way isn't inherently wrong. It's just different. But when you constantly correct him or critique him or redo what he just did, then you are sending the message. You're incompetent. You can't do anything right. I don't really trust you. And then what happens? He stops trying. He stops taking ownership. He stops making decisions. He feels less inclined to step up and handle tasks. He stops initiating. He just starts to wait for you to tell him what to do or for you to handle it because you've accidentally trained him that his way is never good enough and that he always has to follow your way. I mean, think about it. If you are cooking pasta for yourself and he sees you and he goes, oh, you're doing that wrong. You're not supposed to do it that way. Or if you're driving to an event and he tells you the exact route that you need to take to get there, okay? Then you would kind of be like, all right, chill. One thing that I used to do, okay, whenever my husband and I would go on a trip, like when we would take a vacation, okay, one thing about me is that I am gonna start packing 2 to 3 days before we even leave. But my husband does not. Okay, my husband throws things in a bag 30 minutes before we leave to go to the airport. And so often, for years and years, I would bug him about packing. I would be like, okay, you need to start packing. What are you packing? Why aren't you packing? And then I realized, who cares? Okay, there is nothing inherently wrong with my husband packing 30 minutes before we leave. My way is not inherently better than his way. And if the roles were reversed and he kept bugging me, I would be annoyed and I would be like, leave me alone. If you want to stop mothering your man and you want to shift more into the lover role, you have to let him have agency over his own life and the way that he does his own things. Just because you're in a relationship or even if you're married, he is still his own human being. And he can do things the way that he wants. So let him do things his way, even if it's not your preferred way, even if you think that your way is better than his way. Third thing, stop preemptively solving problems that haven't happened yet. A lot of the time we step in early and we manage not because there's a problem, but because we don't want to deal with the possibility that there might be one, right? So we remind him, we follow up, we double check, we just handle it ourselves. But when you do that, you never actually give him the chance to handle it on his own, or to solve any problems that come up on his own, and for you to feel taken care of. This is that anxiety piece that we talked about earlier, right? When your nervous system is dysregulated, or when you have this anxiety around uncertainty, or anxiety around trusting other people, or trusting other people to handle things, your brain goes, well, what if this happens? What if he forgets? What if it doesn't work out? So you step in before there's even a problem. But all you're doing there is just managing your own anxiety. You're not actually helping him. Stop fixating on problems that haven't happened yet. And if a problem comes up, if it's his problem, he can manage it. He can figure it out. If you want to step out of that mother role and back into your feminine, that requires releasing control. It means not always being in the driver's seat, not managing every single detail, not jumping in the moment something feels unfinished or uncertain. Sometimes it means letting things play out, letting him handle it, letting it be done his way on his timeline. So many of us get stuck in this dysregulated nervous system state that says, if I'm not in control, if I'm not on top of everything, then that puts me in danger. But in order for you to feel at peace in your life, and in order for you to feel at peace in your relationship and at peace as a woman, you have to feel at peace with uncertainty. Because uncertainty will always be a part of life. You have to be able to tolerate not exactly knowing how everything is going to turn out. You have to stop anticipating problems before they even happen. You have to stop controlling, because control is an illusion, and chasing it is what's keeping you exhausted, anxious, and stuck in mommy mode. Now, I go way more into this topic in Love Alchemy because I do think it's so important, so I'll save the rest for that. But what does it actually mean to be his muse? By definition, a muse is something or someone that inspires. And how does a muse inspire? Think about the muses in history. The women who inspired great art, great music, great work. They didn't tell the artist what to paint or how to create. They didn't manage the process. They simply existed in a way that made the artist want to create. Their presence, their energy, their essence. That is what inspired greatness. She creates a feeling that makes the other person want to rise, to create, to show up. In relationships, it's the same. In order to be his muse, you don't push, you don't nag, you don't boss him around all the time, you don't criticize. You inspire. And that is what happens when you can learn to embody feminine energy in your relationship. Feminine energy does not demand, it inspires. And that is part of its power. Feminine energy, by its very nature and simply by its existence, inspires a man to step up and take action. It is just how polarity works. A man doesn't feel inspired when you're just managing everything for him. He just feels unnecessary. And a woman doesn't feel sexy and full of life when she is the one handling and managing everything. She just feels depleted. So instead of being his mother, managing, reminding, correcting him, yada yada, you become his muse, the woman who inspires him, who trusts him and gives him space to meet you where you're at. A muse is a woman who doesn't remove the natural consequences of a man's actions. She doesn't jump in to fix everything. She doesn't preemptively save him. She allows him to experience responsibility and to respond to it. So if you want to dive into this more and learn exactly what that looks like and how to make that shift, Love Alchemy is out today. And if you feel called to this type of transformation, I hope to see you in there. I think you're going to get a lot of value out of it. So the link for that is down below. Now remember, a dysregulated nervous system can play a big role in these mommying behaviors. And that's why I highly recommend you go watch this video, how to actually heal your nervous system. In this video, I break down nervous system healing in a way that you've probably never heard before and in a way that actually makes sense. So I'll either see you in there, or I'll see you in Love Alchemy, or I'll see you next time in my next video. Bye.